I'm going to do a quick flip through of my January book because that's all I have time for before dinner. So this is the front book in my system that I have extracted from the gaffer tape, and it's now, you know, a document of January for me. So today is the 31st of January, but I changed books at the end of a week. So, you know, 31st of January will be in my February book. Anyway, at the front here, I have my pocket for my ruler and post-its and stuff. Just a page where I wrote what I wanted for 2022, my calendar and my weeklies. You know, this is just old planning, nothing to see here. And my next actions, divided by contexts, work contexts and home contexts. I didn't use the home contexts a lot. I tend not to follow next action lists at home when I do things. I tend to follow flashes of inspiration. So, you know, at work it really is a lifesaver, these next action lists, but at home they're not very inspiring. I want to be, you know, free when I'm not working, so I don't really like to follow lists in my free time. Anyway, here's my tracker. I have covered up the weekly boxes, the home weekly boxes, with some design paper. I haven't done it here. You know, when I finish a book, half of me wants to embellish it, you know, final touches, and half of me just wants to chuck it and dive straight into the next one. So what I did well this month was my exercise bike, cycling. I really put in a lot of effort, and as we shall see, I discovered that it had unexpected consequences. These are my weekly memories where I write like one thing a day that I want to remember. All of these washi tapes cover up names and stuff that I don't think you need to know. So for every week I drew this like weekly structure with daily boxes, and I wrote one memory a day. Not only good memories, sometimes I write that I had a really bad day, I was tired, upset, but it, well, when I leaf back and forth here, I can see why. Like if I have a bad day, I can go back and see, well, you worked like a motherfucker for a week, so of course you're tired, of course you're, you know, upset and irritated. So it's really, I've made these pages to be pretty, but they also help me understand myself and my reactions. So anyway, here's another section, my daily lists, where I write my gratitude every day, wins, what do I want, like big and small, all thrown together, what I look forward to, what I did for myself yesterday. I journal in the morning, so all of these things that I write on my daily list are for the day before. Learned about myself yesterday and what I want to do for myself today. I have added some headings, like a few more spreads like this for my daily list. I have, for February, I have today's bonus, a special gratitude list for my husband, and also morning thoughts of feelings, like what do I feel, what do I think when I first get up in the morning, because I think, you know, just get that down before I dive into gratitude. Maybe I'm not feeling grateful, but so first I can write this day sucks, if it does. This section is for project journaling and sketching faces, which I'm trying to get better at. To begin with, I journaled about things that I was trying to implement, like daily habits or things I felt like I really need to do this now. I need to organize the library, I need to start putting away the dishes, so I wrote about those things. But I noticed that I tended to write the same things over and over again, like I have the same problems that recur. And I write about obstacles, the way out, like how do I deal with the obstacles, my goal, and at first I wrote about resources, and then I started writing instead about my why. Over here, I started writing about my why instead, which was better. But I sort of ran out of steam writing about current projects and like daily habits. So after a while, I started journaling about someday maybe projects instead, which feels like a better idea because my someday maybe lists are in a separate notebook in my system, and I seldom look through those lists because they're not current. But by journaling about them, I can sort of keep them fairly fresh, or like at the forefront of my mind somewhat, and sort of think through, is there anything hindering me in this particular area? Like, well, what did I pick? Well, this one I picked, do something with my ghost patches. Like I bought some patches for, you know, like heavy metal people put them on their jackets. I'm not really a heavy metal person, so I didn't do that as a teenager, so I don't have the, tradition. So I bought those patches and I've done nothing with them. So I wrote about that, you know, can I do something else with them? Put them on a bag or a junk journal or whatever. I wrote about making junk journals for family members, which is kind of a more long-term project. So it felt better to write about those big things because I keep them current, I keep them, I think about them even though I don't make next actions and plan for them, but I do think about them and explore possibilities and obstacles. So yeah, these images, these drawings, we went to see Nightmare Alley a few days ago and I really liked it, so I drew some people from the film. So that's that. One sketch a day, one project journaling thing a day session. I didn't do the final 2 sketches because I was feeling lazy, so what are you gonna do? My daily doodles, I started out using a whole spread for each day, like this. And I was into that while I was off work, like around Christmas or just after New Year's Eve. But then when I started working, I think that, which one was the day? I think you can see where I started working. Let's see if you can. Yes, because it became so boring. Like, look at this. I've glued things in and, you know, written about stuff. And here's just could-dos. What do I need to do today? Writing. What I had for lunch. So after a while, I felt like, well, look at this. I had no inspiration. I didn't want to doodle. I didn't want to write anything. Here, well, I doodled, but, you know, a whole page of this, I don't know. So after a while, I put, okay, this isn't working. Too much space, too little urge to write. But I still wanted to document my days, so I started doing it like this instead. So it's 4 days per spread. I have a margin where I can doodle. So I doodled, but not every day, you know, I didn't have to cover the whole spread, just the margins. And I wrote like just a few things per day, like funny quotes, what we ate, what we watched, what we did, something we saw on TV, things like that. And then I started actually writing it a bit more like in a structured way. So I wrote what we ate at the bottom of each of these daily boxes. And I'm going to continue doing that. This whole setup, I'm going to continue with in February because I really liked it. So in my February book, I'm going to have a section for daily doodles with 4 days per spread. And then I have a section where I journal about development. And I've divided each page into like 4 sections for creativity, emotions and energy, my body and sort of intellectual stuff or organization, yeah, things of a more mental nature. So in each of these boxes or sections, I write about different parts of my life. It's kind of, I've drawn icons here that I've sort of borrowed from the tarot, and these sections also mirror the elements like fire, water, earth and air. So that's why I chose these areas, and it really works because you get sort of an overview of your life when you go through all those things: creativity, emotions, the body and your mind. So I'm going to continue that as well. I wrote about how I felt, and then in the margins I've sort of written hashtags or keywords so that I can quickly find what I wrote about. Like, for example, if I wrote about my knee, I can see which days my knee was on my mind, like here, whether it was good or bad. Here I've written about cycling, other stuff, but you know, and here's the knee again, and my back again. So for each of these sections, I've written about like a subsection, what I've focused on. For creativity, I've put bujo, I've put drawing, I've put rien, because I've been drawing and then I sort of lost steam, and well, this is a parenthesis, but Louis the 16th wrote rien in his journal when he thought nothing of consequence had happened, and he wrote rien the day after his wedding night, so he didn't care much for that. Yeah, so this is all like journaling about developments in different areas of my life, so I can look back and see how I felt at a particular time, how I felt about my drawing, what I was grappling with when it came to organizing the house, whether I was tired or, you know, inspired or whatever. So yeah, this too was a section that I enjoyed filling in, because having these, like a blank page to fill, was daunting. But having these sections, like 4 small sections per day to write about events and, you know, food and stuff, and having these very specific areas to write about, that was much easier. And I know that these are things that I care about, that I want to develop and focus on and look back on and learn from. So yeah, that was a really good idea, if I do say so myself. Next section, I'm sorry, I'm really zipping through this book, is reflections. So I watch a lot of movies, a lot of TV series, especially when I'm cycling on my exercise bike. I try to read more, but I've been watching YouTube videos where they talk about like not just consuming things, but also reflecting on what you're consuming, like entertainment and books and stuff. So I devised these spreads where I put what I consumed, like here's what I read, a book called Death by Shakespeare. I watched Götterdämmerung, I watched Nightmare Alley, and then I write a reflection about what I've read or watched, whatever it is here. Then I write something about how I can apply it in my own life, and sometimes that's to do with, you know, this was a really good idea for storytelling or writing, I want to apply it in my book, and I write about that. Or it can be like, I want to be like this character, and how can I work on that? How can I bring out this aspect of myself that I liked in this movie character? And then finally down here I write about like a summary of my reflections and how I may apply this thing. So here I actually want to read some Shakespeare again. Everything can be ingredients in my fantasy world. Maybe I want to write flash fiction with carnies and lost souls, let's call it that. So this section with reflections is much bigger in my February book. So I've given myself 14 spreads. So every other day I can write about my reflections about different things. Then I have a spread where I just put my routine for the day, like morning routine, lunch routine, and evening routine. I really like this page. The colors go together so well. Finally, I have my random journaling section, morning pages, exploring ideas, and emotional purges sometimes. So here I've written about my fantasy world and how I might start the first chapter, how I might, develop one of the main characters and what's she going to discover about her world and so on. And then I started brainstorming about some home decoration stuff, because I did a lot of that in January. And I've written a lot about how to organize the attic and my office and so on. And then I started journaling about how I wanted this is about the pages, the sections I was talking about just now, how I organized these, this section, and this section. So I wrote about my ideas for those sections here on these pages. So that took up a lot of space because I had to really think through what I wanted, what I needed, and what I wanted to document, what I wanted to write about, and so on. So this is this represents this kind of page. Then I wrote about how we're setting up our library. We had a room that I was using for crafting, even though I already have a room for crafting, so I was taking up too much space and it was really messy. So, we made it into a library instead, and ordered some bookcases from IKEA, and really that was a big project. And then I started thinking about, how do I want to organize my office / craft room. So I drew a sketch here of the layout and what I wanted. Then I wrote about how I wanted to develop my morning routine and how I was going to set it up in my February book. And sometimes I just wrote about, the light's coming back and today is really warm and the sky is pink and beautiful. Here I'm journaling about how to set up my February book, how many pages I need for each section. And a lot of it is about, how do I store my crafting stuff, and yeah, we have a big house, but we also have a lot of stuff, so that's an ongoing project to organize it. Okay, and the final pages are empty because I didn't use them up. Here I actually used this one for a pen test because I wanted to use this pen in my February book and I didn't dare to until I tried it out here. So maybe I'll continue doing pen tests here actually. It's really good because, you know, it's just a throwaway page. Finally, on the inside, the back inside cover, I put things that mattered or things that stood out during the month. So this is a summary of like everything. What represents January of 2022? What was the big stuff? Like I had energy and ideas. We watched the Beatles documentary. We watched Mayor of Easttown. I started cycling a lot. I read Death by Shakespeare. We made the library. I made a Bujo shrine in the attic. Like I organized some shelves and a space for storing all my junk journals, my bullet journals, my planners, everything. I wrote on an article. I tidied up my office and started organizing it. Ghost came out with a couple of new songs. We watched Nightmare Alley, and we started doing a quarter of an hour a day of visionary organizing of our home, and I watched Siren while cycling. So yes, that's it. Now I have to go have dinner with my husband, who's probably wondering why the hell I'm so late.